So what's the coolest thing you've seen at the con?
So this is going to sound really stupid, and it's not costumes, it's not anything. So one of the things that I notice a lot is that if you walk by any booth that's selling any type of merchandise, you could literally steal it all. Like, what's really interesting to me is just the level of trust, right? Like, this community has sort of put themselves where trust is really number one. So there's just stuff everywhere, and everybody's like, yeah, and you'll see people grab it and then walk over to the front to pay for it rather than just walking off with it. And I just think that's amazing. It's not, you don't normally see that at trade shows.
That is true. This is my first Comic-Con. So how long have you been going to Comic-Con?
This is my first one too.
Oh, it's your first one?
Yeah.
Are you into comic books?
I am. Yeah. You know, when you start reading comic books, and it's normally guys, they get out when they're about 15, 16 because their girlfriends don't like them going to comic stores anymore. So I was probably about the same, and then you get back in early 20s. So I've been reading comics sort of since probably back into it when I was in my 20s. But really enjoying comic-based entertainment, which is everything, like movies and TV and things that you don't even think about. Not just Superman movies, but things that are based on kind of the concept around art and storytelling.
Well, now it's really cool. Like, I've noticed that it's hip to be into comic books.
It is very hip. Yeah, and it's what's hip is that it's hip to be into art. Like, that's where tattoos are back, right? So that's art. Like,
I noticed you have a few tattoos here.
I do have a few tattoos.
We'll talk about those in a second.
Okay.
But yeah.
but it's art and stories, right? Like, those never became not cool. But I think the whole movement towards technologists being cool, so entrepreneurs and techies in the whole world, I think that sort of comics fits in all of that, right? And I think that's what's really cool.
Well, I want to talk to you about your tattoos.
Okay.
I don't see a lot of entrepreneurs with their tattoos. They probably have them, but they don't proudly show them like you do. What's the story behind them?
This is for a year of sobriety. I've been sober about 4.5 years. This is for when I sold my first company, which is actually kind of funny that we put a hole in the bottom because I lost all the money.
You lost all the money?
Yeah, that was sort of prophetic, unfortunately. This is my family, so these are the initials of my family, and encompasses strength and direction. This is my baby panther. I just think it's cute. It's kind of cool.
Does it have a name?
No. I saw it in a book in the plane, and I just thought it was cool. This is my Hebrew. It says, they will be shown the might of the sword and be portions for foxes. Just reminds me that you can't always turn the other cheek. Sometimes you gotta smash people in the face. I don't know what else I have. Oh, this is my actual brain. It's an MRI.
Your actual brain? Oh, it is.
Brain.
Wow.
Yeah. It's like my actual brain on drugs. Because I was pretty high when I got that done. So it's another reminder to kind of, of sobriety. So, and then some other ones. I think accept hope is an important thing. So on my wrist it says accept hope. And I think that's a big entrepreneurial thing, right? If you're not hopeful, you can't really be an entrepreneur. So it's the concept of that, just be hopeful for what's next, It's always about hope.
That's very cool.
Yeah, thanks.
My favorite tattoo by far is definitely the startup one.
This one?
Yeah.
My startup one? Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen anyone with a startup tattoo.
Yeah. I didn't want to get my logo because I thought that was kind of lame.
Yeah.
Right? And so I asked him to do whatever he wanted, Will Thiedman in Denver. And he did this bag of money with the money falling out, and I just never really thought about it. And then once all the money I got sort of went to the government, I realized that was rather prophetic. So if I do another one, when I sell graphically, I'm going to get a second bag, and I'm no holes.
No holes in the bag.
That one will have no holes.
No holes.
That'll be straightforward. The first business I ran was, my mom likes to call it the hustler business. I basically would convince all my friends to go mow lawns and wash cars and then give me all the money, which I think is a really great startup, story, because I basically did nothing and made all the money. But it was mostly, growing up, we didn't have stuff, not that we were poor, right, but my parents didn't believe in giving us stuff, so anything we wanted, we had to get ourselves. I was telling you the story about the tree in my backyard, right? The tree fell in my backyard, and my dad, in order to buy a bike, my dad said I had to cut it up, and when my grandma came to visit, she brought me a saw. That's our world. And so for me, I always consider myself kind of a young Tom Sawyer, where I'd get a lot of friends and get them really excited about what we were doing, and then go about town. So that was at 9. At 14, I started a pool cleaning business. where I hired
pool cleaning business.
Pool cleaning, yeah. I was a freshman in high school, so I hired all the seniors, like the star quarterback, the star baseball player, like all the guys I knew that would keep me, sane through high school. So it was great. I got into every party. I knew all the hot chicks. It was great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So did you know lots of other entrepreneurial kids, or were you kind of a lone wolf?
I guess it was kind of me. I mean, I remember in high school, like I was the guy that you would come to if you had something and you wanted to sell it, right? So I was the guy that kind of knew everybody. I was always a connector, and yeah, most of my friends weren't. They'd work regular jobs. I vowed very early that I would never flip a burger in my life. That I would never work in a restaurant. I wanted to work jobs where I kind of was in control from beginning to end. So yeah, no, I guess it wasn't. It was just me.
What's the tech scene like in Colorado?
Boulder's amazing. There's, I think, 100 startups, and I think 1 out of every 10 people in Boulder is somehow involved with a startup. So Boulder is every summer. We have Boulder, and it's our Techstars, and we have 10 companies that come out. Now it's in Boston and Seattle. I work in a place where there's 4 or 5 startups. I think most people would be amazed at how awesome Boulder's tech scene is. It's very tight knit. I use the term a lot about it's a cooperative competition, meaning that we're all very competitive, but if we needed the help, we would cooperate with one another and help each other out. Boulder's awesome. It's imagine taking San Francisco and smashing it into 2x2 miles, and then having all the startups there actually being friends. So one of the things is I'm a mentor at Techstars in Boulder, and while they're not kids, they're definitely young and entrepreneurs, right? And we talk to them a lot about do more faster, right? Just be in a constant state of doing, and that through doing you learn, and through learning you achieve, right? That's kind of the concept. I think that's my parents kind of taught me the same thing. Like as long as I wasn't killing anybody or ending up in jail often, I was good, right? Like I think they sort of allowed me the latitude to be creative in the ways that I was creative. I was never an artist, right? I was never much of a writer, but I was really good about getting people passionate about an idea and kind of running with it. So I think they just sort of let me do it. And my dad's from Michigan, and my mom's from Israel, so I think there's a little bit of that. You've got to kind of work yourself way up and do your own thing. I guess the advice I'd give is, give your kids walls so they don't end up, killing themselves, but don't give them roadblocks.